Welcome to BitBoy Crypto. My name is Ben, and today we're going to be breaking down Bitget for you. It's an exchange trading platform where you can do leverage trading and also other types of trading, including regular spot. There's actually a lot of reasons why you might want to do spot trading there. We'll get into that later. We're going to do a full breakdown tutorial of how to do it, how to use it, how to sign up, and also what is leverage trading? How can you do it? Is it dangerous? We're going to break all that down today. So let's go and get started. Okay, guys, so here we are. We are on the Bitget exchange. Now, when you pull up this exchange, you'll notice it looks like a lot of other leverage trading platforms. I think there's like one common website builder they all use. I don't know, call me crazy. A lot of them have these panels that will scroll through with newer updated events and information. Scroll down, they've got top coins that are trending over the last certain amount of time. Then they've got something very interesting. They have copy trading on here. Prime XBT has used it. It's a feature that a lot of people like. We're not going to talk too much about the copy trading today on this video because it's not something that we're focused on. But the copy trading is definitely something that a lot of people like. It mimics the trades of traders that you choose that you feel like are successful. Here it's got some things that separate it from some of the other places. No incidents, hassle-free, worry-free, no bottlenecks. They've got a really nice app. We're going to be using the desktop version today, but you can, of course, scan this QR code and get the app as well. I use the app personally. That's what I'm doing my trading on. And here you go. If you need a passport to the world of crypto, you get it right here. But I really do like Bitget. I think that the user interface is really clean, is really neat. When you look here at the trading terminal here, you'll see it's very similar to what we've seen before on sites like Bybit and Femex. I would say, in my personal opinion, some people call it Femex, whatever. I call it Femex. In my personal opinion, though, Bitget and Bybit are the only two that I feel like offer a premium trading experience as far as user interface goes. When it came to Femex, I just felt like it wasn't quite up to snuff with some of these other sites. Of course, so you see up at the top all the different features. They have futures trading, USDT pairs, they have USDC pairs, they have CoinM futures, strategic trading, which we'll talk about in a little bit, futures info, and of course they have copy trading like I mentioned earlier. So, Bitget, some of the things that separate it we've talked about here, but ultimately I think it's the user experience and the user interface that really takes it to the next level, really separates it. Of course, they do have a launch pad as well. You can check out their launch pad here. Bitget, Pandaform, a coin that just launched. I'm not backing Pandaform. I don't know anything about it, but the point is they do have a launch pad where you can get in early to some projects. Now, risk management, it's a hot topic. So let's get into how you can use proper risk management tools and protocols in order to keep your trading safe. One of the risk management tools they have here is isolated leverage versus cross leverage. If you're using isolated leverage, that means that basically your account is or your trade is only going to pull extra leverage that it needs from its own trade. If you use cross leverage, any extra money you have in your account that you aren't allocating towards this trade, it will actually seep into and pull that money out. So in my opinion, I think isolated leverage is by far the best because it's more controllable. With cross leverage, you're always risking eventually getting liquidated. So in my opinion, that's why I like isolated better. Of course, you can control your leverage here with long or short here. You can make it whatever you want to be all the way up to 125x. Notice something kind of interesting. When you go to 100x, you can see here you can bet 2.294 Bitcoin. If you go over that, it is going to drop considerably. I guess right now it's not really showing that, but because the amount that I have in this account isn't a ton. But it says here the amount can be opened is limited by leverage available funds and the maximum amount of positions opened. Basically, the long and the short of it, once you get between 100 and 125, if you have a decent amount of money in your account, like let's say over $5,000, it's going to really limit the amount of Bitcoin you can open a trade with between 100 to 125x. Just proving that anything over 100x and really 100x itself is very dangerous, and it's dangerous for the exchanges if you get a big win. It's dangerous for you if you lose because you can lose your money like that with that much leverage. So make sure you're using proper risk management. Don't use leverage that's absolutely insane. Here is your take profit stop loss button. You click this. Make sure you're putting your stop loss in before you make your trade because you would hate to make a trade and you say, oh, I'm going to set my stop loss later, and then the site goes down, or you lose your internet, or you can't get back on, or there's a giant scam wick to one side or the other, and you lose all your money. So make sure you're always entering a trade with a stop loss. A few times that I haven't, I've always lost. It just never seems to fail. So make sure the long and short of it is you are using, no pun intended, you're using proper risk management. Never risk more than you can afford to lose in trading or anything else in life. Okay, so what types of trades can you do here on Bitget? Well, of course, they have spot trading. Spot trading is just the everyday trading that you're used to making on an exchange. There's no leverage, there's no margin, there's no bells and whistles. If you want to buy, Bitcoin, for instance, and you want to trade it for Matic, there's a way you can do that on here. You basically go here to spot trading, you go to the Bitcoin pairs, and then you'd find the pair that you want. It's not listed here, but let's say I want to trade for Ethereum. You can come right here to the ETH Bitcoin pair. You trade it. It's as is. You're not having to worry about getting liquidated or anything like that. It's a one-to-one trade, spot trading, also known as just regular trading. You also have here you have leverage trading. So this would be the futures. So futures here, go to USDTM. This will take you to Bitcoin USDT pairs. You can see that here. Then you can come over here to trade and go to USDCM futures. This is where you're making perpetual trades here, BTC perpetual contracts. You have the perpetual, and then you have delivery contracts as well. It doesn't seem like there's any there. These are just Bitcoin perpetual contracts or ETH perpetual contracts. I don't use either one of those. I'm going to show you what I use. I use CoinM futures. That's what I use. So you would come here, you would go to trade, go to CoinM futures, and then you would pick your pair. These are based on US dollars. See, these are based on USDC. These are based on USDTM, which means that you take your profits and tether on these. You take your profits in USDC here. I want my profits in Bitcoin. So I'm going to come here to the Bitcoin trading pair. I generally only trade Bitcoin on leverage. And the reason is there's less volatility with Bitcoin than some of the other altcoins. But I really enjoy doing leverage trading with Bitcoin specifically for the reason that it settles in Bitcoin, number one. And number two, the market is controlled by Bitcoin. So it doesn't matter what your TA is saying with an altcoin that you're looking at. If Bitcoin were to collapse or to pump during that time, your coin's going to do the same thing. I don't like having my trades messed up by the movement of another coin that I can't control. So I'm just going to go ahead and make my trades on Bitcoin, and I'm going to be happy with that, but you certainly can. There's plenty of other ones that you can trade with. As you can see here, click here on these pairs. You can trade ETH, XRP, EOS, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Uniswap, longer contracts, Avalanche, Chainlink, and there you go. So for me, I'm simply using Bitcoin USD as my pair, and I like to make my money in Bitcoin is what I like to do. So we also have another type of trading. So we have another type of trading that's called strategic trading. Now, strategic trading actually involves bot trading. Now, this is going to be way more advanced than most of you guys are going to be able to use right now, but just a quick overview of what it is. You have the spot grid, the futures grid, spot DCA, and futures DCA. Well, if you come over here and you click on the, you get into the glossary here. What is strategic trading? It's a brand new product line, including 2 business types. It offers free strategy bots to users and offers services of strategy deals and subscriptions to strategists. So the point is, the reason it's called strategic trading is because you're picking a strategy, whether it's based on a strategy or bots, and you're trying to make money that way. And then, of course, if you do really well, you have a way you can actually sell these bots to other people and allow them to use it. So you have strategists, strategy providers, users. Like I said, we're not going to get too deep into this other than for me to just tell you that it exists on Bitget. Now, you didn't think this was going to be free, did you? There's always going to be fees when you are making leverage trades or any other type of trades. Trading fees, well, they're just a part of the market. They're the cost of doing business, so to speak. So let's go ahead and break down the fee structure at Bitget. Here's the fee structure and fee calculations on Bitget. You have deposit fees, but yet there's no fees for crypto deposits. So when you put money on here, there is no fee with that. And you will get trading fees. Now, when it comes to spot trading, there's hardly any fees at all. It's 0.1% for both the maker and taker. The maker is the person who puts the trade out there. The taker is the person that fills the trade, as you can see. But there's always 2 ends of a trade, someone doing the making, someone doing the taking. Now, with the leverage trading, we're going to see one of those is favored quite a bit. When you do spot trading, though, if you use the BGB, which is the Bitget token, just like with Binance Coin, you get a big reduction in fees for that. For futures trading, here we go. The maker is 0.02% and 0.06% for the taker. So the taker fees are considerably more. And I may have said that backwards earlier. The maker is the one filling the trade. The taker is the one that's taking the trade, that's putting the trade out there. So you can see here, withdrawal fees, you have slight withdrawal fees, as you can see here. But this is really what you have to understand, the Bitget's futures fee calculations, because you can really make some great trades, and you can end up in the red because the fees were so high. You're a maker if you create buying or selling orders that aren't carried out immediately. You wait for orders to be filled. Hence, by playing the maker role, you create liquidity for an exchange, meaning it's easier for others to buy or sell when the condition meets. For this reason, exchange will reward makers with lower transaction fees. On the other hand, if you're a taker, if you fill someone else's orders, you make use of liquidity to easily buy or sell assets instantly. So this is like if you hit instant close on your trade. By playing the taker role and using liquidity, you often pay a higher transaction fee. So you can see the futures transaction fee formula. The transaction fee equals the order value times the fee rate. And then this lays out an example of the trade of how much you would pay. And I'm going to tell you this. Anything you can do to avoid doing an instant close, the better. If you can set an order we'll show you how to do this in just a little bit. But if you can set an order here where you close a trade using this, instead of close a trade using the insta close or a stop loss, you're going to be far better. You're going to pay much, much, much less in fees. But fees are a hard, cold truth about trading on leverage. And the higher leverage you use, the higher your fees are going to be. So make sure that when you are figuring all this out, when you're trying to figure out if you're profitable or not, make sure you're taking into consideration when you close the trade, the method you use to close it, is that going to make you unprofitable? If you're up 1% or 2% in a trade, you probably don't want to close it, because if you do, unless you're using extremely low leverage, you're actually going to close it probably in the red. If you're up 5% or more, then you're probably going to end up in the green, but you still want to try to make use, of being a maker instead of being a taker, so you get the lower fee structure. All right, let's go and get into leverage trading. Let's look at the different levels available to you on Bitget. Now, also, don't forget, make sure to sign up for Bitget if you found this tutorial to be helpful and you think you're ready to start your leverage trading journey. Of course, always be careful and use proper risk management. We got a link right down below for you guys. If you want to sign up, it's even a bonus.
Hey guys, Frankie Candles here. I just want to interrupt Ben for just a second and give you guys some more details on this deal. Now you can get up to $8,000 in bonus funds. $200 is the minimum deposit, which will get you $10. And if you trade anything worth $100 or more, you'll get $5 in bonuses and 15 BGB. That's it for me. Back to Ben.
All right, so let's talk about leverage. So you can see over here, it is starting me off at long 10x or short 10x. If you're new to trading, which, by the way, if you would like to sign up, we have a link down below in the description. You get a great bonus when you sign up with Bitget. It is our trading site, of course, of choice, of course. I've told you all the reasons why. I really love the user interface. It's very intuitive. Nothing here is super complicated, especially with what I'm doing with futures trading. So make sure to sign up. Got the link down below. Of course, use proper risk management. Don't lose all your money. But anybody can learn how to trade and can do it successfully. I've been a very successful trader in my career in crypto, and I'm not even that great of a TA guy, a market analysis guy, and I've found ways and methods and indicators to make it work heavily in my benefit. Highly suggest checking out our BitLab trading indicators to help you along this journey. You guys can get that link down below as well. But what I would say here is, when you're trying to figure out what this means, long or short, what you're doing when you're trading on leverage is you are leveraging other people's crypto. So if you click this 10x here, you guys will see that it goes anywhere from 1x all the way to 125x. Now, 25x or more is probably super high. 10x or below is what most people are going to use. A lot of people use 5x or below. But the point here is that with 10x, what this means is you're borrowing 10 times the amount you're putting in the trade. So if we were to put 0.246 Bitcoin into this trade and we were to trade on 10x, then that means we're actually trading with 2.46 Bitcoin, even though we only have a quarter of a Bitcoin in our account. And what this allows us to do is it allows us to take the profits from all of the Bitcoin that we use together. If it goes up in the direction we want, if we're going long, of course, when you go long, you're betting the price goes up. When you're going short, you're betting the price goes down. So when the price goes up and you're using 10x, you get to take the profits off of 10 times the amount that you put into the trade. Now, the downside of that is what's called liquidation, or your amount of margin that you have. So when you're trading on margin with leverage, that means that there's an amount of margin that you're allowed to gamble within. If the price of Bitcoin gets without of that range of margin, you get liquidated, which means you lose all your money. So with spot trading, if you put, $10,000 in Bitcoin and the price goes up 10%, well, you made, $100, or wait, 10,000. You made $1,000. The price goes down 10%, you lose $1,000 approximately. Okay, but you will not lose your entire Bitcoin. However, if you're using a high enough amount of leverage and the price were to drop 10% on Bitcoin, and that's all the margin you had, then you lose all your money. You don't just lose the amount that it's down. If it's down 10%, you don't lose 10%. If you were trading on 10x and it drops 10%, then you're probably pretty close to getting liquidated if you haven't gotten liquidated already. So keep that in mind. And of course, you can do this on going long or going short. For the purpose of this video and making these trades, we are going to do 10x. The way that it works when you're going short is, so when the price goes up and you're long and you're on 10x leverage, then you're able to take the profits off of 10 Bitcoin. You're like, when the price goes down, can I make money? Well, what you're doing is a futures contract. So if you're shorting, you're agreeing that when the price goes down, you're going to buy the Bitcoin at a lower price because you believe it's going to go down. And then the difference between where it was sitting at and where you close the trade at, that's where you take your profits. So let's say the price of Bitcoin is $20,000 and you short it with a certain amount of leverage and the price goes down to $18,000 and you close the trade. Your profit is the amount of profit that you would have made buying those Bitcoin at 18,000 as opposed to buying them at 20,000. So that's kind of how that works. It's a little complicated, more complicated to understand on the short side than it is on the long side. But overall, that's the way leverage works. Be careful with your risk management. Make sure that you're not going insane with your leverage, because if you do, there's a good chance you're going to lose a considerable amount of money. There's all kinds of bells and whistles when you get into leverage trading. But let's right now take pause and look at the 4 different types of orders that you can set on the exchange: limit orders, market orders, trailing stop orders, and trigger orders. And we're also going to get into stop losses. All right, so let's go over the different types of order here. You have a limit order, which limit order is generally what I would suggest that you use, especially if you're a beginner. A limit order is very simple. I look right here, the number is at $24,510 for Bitcoin approximately right now at the time of this filming. I would want to make sure that I set my bid price to where I'm going to get it filled, but you want to have a number that you've already got into in your brain when it comes to this. So you might come over here and you might look at the chart, here, and you might say, okay, this here was a strong level of resistance right here at $24,215. So I'm going to set my buy order for a long at $24,211. So what we want to do is we want to take advantage of, I'm not going to do technical analysis on this chart here, but you just want to find some levels that it could bounce off of if it does go down. So you would want to take a buy price at $24,211. That looks like a pretty good one. I mean, I could find some better ones here, but it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The point is, you want to have a number in mind. You don't want to just go in here and click this number and, 24,513, let me click this. Because it's in the middle of a move here, and you don't really know which way it's moving. You want to already have a pre-planned price because you feel like it's going to go down. If you feel like it's going to go down and you want to long it on a bounce, then you want to find a level like $24,211 like we talked about. On the other side, if you want to short, well, you're always going to short from a higher price than it is now. So right now the price is coming in at $24,530. Yesterday, it got rejected off of $25,200. So what we would want to do is do a short at that number. Now, we'll show you how to actually set the trade in a minute and how to fix your stop loss. But that's what you would want to do. You want to put in $25,200, and then, I usually use the whole of my account in every trade. It's just the way I operate. You don't have to do that. But there you go. Now, you know what? It's a good time. Let me go ahead and show you this real quick where it comes to stop loss, take profit. I'll show you this now because I think it's very relevant. So let's say I came in here at $25,200. Now, what happens if it breaks through that resistance? Well, if it breaks through that resistance, it's going to keep going up most likely. You don't want to worry about a quick wick that can go slightly over your price point. You want to be concerned about something that shows that it is broken through and it is heading to a higher price. All right, so you can see yesterday this price did get up to $25,281. So you know what? We're a little closer to, we'll make that $25,250 because it did get a little bit over that. Now you look there and you see it got rejected. Now, if you go back to the last time that we were at that level, you got to go really far back, as you can see. We can't even go back far enough on a chart. So what you'd want to do is you'd want to go and look at TradingView. So we'll pull up TradingView real quick to give you guys a good perspective of what this should look like here. Go here, Bitcoin, boom, boom, boom. This is the Bitget chart. It's important you sequence the Bitget perpetual mix contract here with Bitget if you are trading it, because this is the exact Bitget chart here on TradingView. So you guys see yesterday here, it did go all the way up to $25,283. We are on the daily chart here. So if you want to pick a number for a stop loss, what you want to do is figure out where is the next level. If it goes above this, where could it potentially get to? And the answer to that is 26,425. That is kind of the next level you'd want to look at. 26,425. So you come back here and you look at your trade. Here it is right here. And we say, okay, 25,250. That's where I feel like we should short. But if it gets above that price, we want to set a stop loss. So let's say if it got to 25,325, we would feel pretty confident that it's broken through not only the previous high, but it's broken through what a lot of people consider to be a really strong resistance level, 25.3, and it's blown past all that, and it's probably going to keep going. So that's where we would want to set our stop loss at. Now, depending on how high leverage you're using, if you're using 50x, 75x, you may want to make that a little bit tighter. When you have lower leverage, you're able to kind of play around with that number and get a kind of a bigger range. Because one thing you don't want the price to hit your stop loss and then to plummet right back down. It does happen sometimes. It's just a matter of trading. So where would we want to take profit? If it comes up here to 25.3 and we're shorting it, or 25,281, and we're shorting it, where are the levels at which we could probably look to take some profit? You could potentially take some profit here at $25,105. You could also potentially set some take profits here at, this looks like a really strong level. This is where we're going to put it. $24,895. Once you set your trade, you can actually go in here and you can change it. Only a certain percentage of your Bitcoin is coming out. So let's say if it hit 24,865, we want to take 50% profit. We can do that. And that way, if it keeps dropping, you still have some in the market and you've already taken some off the table as profit. So that's generally a pretty good strategy. So that's a limit order. That's how to fill a limit order from stop to finish. But then there's also other types of orders. You also have a market order. A market order is going to execute at the exact price according to the market. Now, a market order, I highly, highly, highly advise you never to do a market order. A market order is going to screw you. So where it says execute at the best price right now, it says 24,512. Well, shoot, that might give you the price if you're longing. It might give it to you at $25,490, way below where you bought it at. It's going to use the liquidity of the market at the time and execute that trade immediately. Here's my advice. Do not use it. I don't want to go too much more into a market order other than that. Let's say just don't do it. It's the simplest thing for sure. You also have what is called a trailing stop here. This is an order where you can basically say, if it hits this number, the trigger price, what happens is the trailing stop order will be triggered and the system will start to calculate based on the callback rate and upper or lower price, whether to place an order with your preset quantity at the best market price. Here is what a trailing stop is. A trailing stop is where you pick a number, and once it hits that number, it either longs or shorts, and then you put the callback rate, and as soon as it dips down 5% or 10% or whatever you put it at, it's going to close the trade for you. Why would people do this? Well, this is basically a way to take advantage of a strong pump or a strong dump and to automatically sell for profits when it's in the green. And you get to take advantage if it keeps going a certain direction, you're able to keep riding it. But as soon as it pulls back, it closes the trade. So that is a trailing stop. You also have a trigger order, which a trigger order is a kind of order with preset order price and trigger condition. When the last price reaches the trigger price, the system will place an order at the preset order price. It allows you to preset your buying and selling prices so you can automatically take profit or stop loss without the hassle of monitoring the market all the time. Here's the real truth, guys. The real truth is none of you that are watching this video should be using trigger orders right now. None of you that are watching this video should be using strategic trading right now, the bots. Why? You're not there yet. If you're watching this video because you need a tutorial on leverage trading and on Bitget, then I don't think you're probably close to ready to use those types of orders. Those types of orders are for people who have a strong hold of the market and what they're doing and understand how to set it and forget it. You need to take a more active approach in your trading or you're going to lose. Beginners need to basically treat this not necessarily like a full-time job. If you want to do it as a full-time job, you have to treat it like that. But you just have to watch the market closely when you're making trades. You need to get the feel of the market, feel the ups, feel the downs. That's just kind of the way that it works, and make sure that you are not setting and forgetting, because if you do that, you're going to lose your money. So just another piece of advice for you guys is I wouldn't worry too much about those. So we've already showed you the take profit and stop loss, how that works. I've already told you earlier you want to use isolated, make sure your leverage is tight. We showed you how to execute an order, but there's still a few more things for us to get to. Now, if you're looking for an exchange that has zero customer support, well, I want to look otherwise. Bitget also has a great support team that will answer any of your questions or issues should they arise. Okay, so Bitget obviously has a really solid support team. That's one thing that separates them, again, from other folks. If you want to get to the support tab, easiest way I found to do it is come up here to this little box of squares, come over here to FAQs, hit FAQs, and boom, come down to the bottom and you got the support service email you can get to right there, as well as you can ask questions. It's got product news, announcement centers. Obviously, if you want help with something, let's say you want to see what spot trading fees were, you type in spot trading fees, then it will pop up with an article, knowledge base. Here it is. This is one way you can earn 0 spot trading fees when you become a merchant. But see, that didn't actually really answer my question here. So that was an ongoing event. So that didn't answer. So in that case, I would want to probably go over here to the support service, email them, and ask them what was going on. So that was a pretty good example of what happens when you search the search and what you're looking for doesn't come up. Well, let's say I want to learn a little bit more about leverage. Talks about adjusting leverage. Here you go, right here. How to set leverage. This is one way you could do it. Click on that to learn more about leverage. So plenty of examples here if you just want to search something to know an article. But I know how frustrating that is because I don't ever find what I'm looking for when I'm looking through these types of FAQs or support articles. I'm always, when I got something I really want to know, I'm going to come right over here to support@bitget.com. I'm going to email them and I'm going to get my answer. All right, now we've taught you everything. Now you know completely how to use a site. Let's put it into action and let's actually execute an order to show you what that looks like. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and execute a short trade here. Now, we had already said that the number we wanted to possibly short at was 25,250. Our take profit, we said that basically 24,865 would have been a pretty great spot for that. And then stop loss, we said we were going to go $25,325. So we're going to go ahead and hit that sell short button. Now it says our order succeeded. So we click down here, it's going to show you where our open order is. This tab down here, you're going to be able to see your position once it's filled. The following order, you're going to see your open orders, order history, order details, and fund record. So you can see that right there. So we're going to go over here to our open orders, and we are going to take a look at everything that's here. You have your direction. It's short. It's isolated. It's Bitcoin USD. It's a limit order. The order amount is 0.239 Bitcoin. You can see here the price is 25,250. The take profit and the stop loss are already set. Now, if you want to change those, you can click on this and hit do not remind me again. I don't need that. Well, I'm not going to hit it. You can change it right here. And now if you tweak it, it'll show you how much you would lose down here at the bottom and stuff like that. You could also see if with your take profits, like, man, if I took profits over here, how much would it be? If it went all the way down to 12,000, I would make, 0.12 BTC. Wow, we are rich. So there you go. Shows you everything you need to know here about your order, how you can change your take profit and stop loss, and things like that. Okay, so just for the sake of showing you guys what a filled order looks like, I'm going to go ahead and do a long, and I'm going to do it at a market buy. And the reason I'm going to do that is so you can see what a filled order looks like and how you would change things from there. So we're going to hit take profit, stop loss, obviously. So we're going to buy in probably, we're going to set a take profit at 24,750. We're going to do a stop loss price at 24,300. And there we go. We are going to buy long. Boom. And there it is. Whoa, we get sound effects. I didn't even know that. But here we go. It shows you what our order is, and it shows you what our purchase price was, 24,557. You guys remember what I told you here? It was going to drop it. The price we got was basically $10 less than the going price because we did a market order. So that really hurt us. You can see right here the difference. The mark price, 24,575, and then the open price was 24,557. We are up right now. Look at this. We are up 1%. Wow, we are crushing it. What a great time to take this. You are looking right now, ladies and gentlemen, at an absolute killer market trade that we just did on accident. And now it's dropping again. And now we're right back to even. And this is how it goes, guys. This is how fast the market moves. Actually, no, yeah, we're now down, and now we're in the red. You guys see how fast leverage trading works? We go from in the green 2% to down 1% in a matter of seconds. We're going to let this run out. I don't really care. This is just money we have in this account for fun. So we're going to let these play out with a take profit and stop loss. But if you wanted to change your margin, you could click here. You can increase your margin or you can decrease your margin, as you guys can see. I don't think we have enough extra money in the account to change it right now because we have the whole account in the trade, but that's how you would do it. And also, one thing I wanted to show you here, you can hit close here. Close if you want to insta close it, but remember that's going to really hurt you, take a lot of fees. You also have a flash close. This is where the system will instantly execute the order at the best available price immediately. If the order does not complete or partially complete, system will auto trigger the order to execute at the closing market price. Then we have reversals. Reversals are fun. So a reversal is if you feel like the price is going the opposite way that you want it to. But let's say the price is running and you realize, man, I am right now about to go back to unprofitable, but I feel like it's going to go past my entry price. If you want to reverse it, you can reverse the trade. You can go immediately from a long to a short or from a short to a long. But the only thing is that when you do that, you're going to have a big cost. You're going to have a big cost in the form of basically a penalty for doing it. So you're going to get like a 5% fee or something like that. I don't know exactly what the percent is, but I can tell you that don't think just because you trade the direction that everything's going to be okay. Even if it does go the right direction, you're going to be starting behind the starting blocks. Because like, let's say you're going long and let's say the price is $25,000 and you get it right at $25,000 and it goes to $25,500 and you decide to short it at $25,500. Well, you're in the profit. But if you actually look at the amount of Satoshis in your account, when you hit that reverse and go short, you're going to immediately lose value from your trade. So keep that in mind. Only be willing to use a reversal button if you think it's a big move. If you think it's only a minimal move and you're on lower leverage, you should not be using the reversal. But if you're on higher leverage and you're in a lot of profit, then I would say it's definitely a decent idea. I've done it a few times and made a lot of money, made a lot of return on investment from just giving up and saying, okay, I'm long right now, but it looks like it's going heavily short. And I'm going to go ahead and reverse. So that's what the reversal button is. This will immediately reverse us from a long to a short. So we're up like 0.5% on this trade. So I'll just show you what it looks like. So we will hit reverse. I understand. 0.071. Right now our position is 0.246. Confirm. And there we go. Woo! There it is. So we have now reversed. We're now going the other direction. And we'll have to see what happens here from this. But be careful here because remember, now because I reversed it, I don't actually have a take profit or a stop loss. So if you reverse it, you need to immediately go in and take that. So we're going to put the take profit at 24,500. We're going to put the stop loss at 24,750. Now, usually you should be doing a much better job of picking these prices. I'm just picking them very quickly for the purpose of the video. So there you go. So now we've got the order set. Now we know what our numbers are. We can chill and let this thing run. Well, that's it, guys. We broke down the complete exchange. We executed an order, and I hope you understand a little bit better how to use Bitget and what leverage trading is and why it gets so talked about. If you want to sign up for Bitget, like I said earlier, make sure to go down below in the description. We've got a great link for you to use. In addition, a great bonus for you to get when you sign up. That's all I got. Be blessed. Good boy out.